pulls up like we do. No one does us like we do. Always go hard with this crew. Welcome to the show, let's make moves. Nothing's gonna stop us, it's not to get rough. Turn the whole room up, it's never enough. Let's go, 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 let's go.
Hello, one and all, and welcome to a special edition of the Sports Report podcast. Guys, we got a lot to go over. Deshaun Watson in particular. Let's go ahead and get fired up. Let me get the crew in real quick. First, the man who forgot more baseball than I will ever know. Let me bring my man 7 in. 7, what's up?
What's up, buddy?
All right. Second of all, let me bring in the man who knows Walmart like no other. Bring my man Dan in. Dan, what's up?
Can't hear you guys.
Uh-oh. Oh, you can't
Give me
hear
1 second.
Okay. And while you're getting everything straight, Dan, I'm going to move right into Josie. El Presidente. What's up, Josie?
What's up, boys?
Chilling. All right, let's go ahead and get into it, guys.
Let's just dive into it.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get into it, guys. Deshaun Watson looks like his
He's a pervert.
like his decision of the 6-game suspension is going to be appealed by the NFL. Now, I've heard several things. I've heard an indefinite suspension with at least a minimum of a year and an $8 million fine. Then the other thing I heard, 12 games, $8 million fine. Let me go who's been the most vocal about it. Josie, what you thinking?
I think right now you're going to definitely see an $8 million fine. If you take two rumors and there's a consistency in both of them, that's probably what it's going to be. So I think it's going to be an $8 million fine. Honestly, between where you and me were and where 7 was sitting, I think this is a happy medium.
I think so too.
I think this is what we get. I think this is about what we're gonna get. It's 12 games. I don't think you're gonna see a whole season. I think 12 games and $8 million Deshaun's camp will settle for. Because it's not a whole season. And I think the Browns will take that because it's not a whole season.
Yep.
And the money, $8 million to these guys isn't a whole lot. And I only say that it is going to be $8 million because both of those rumors. And I know I know your look, 7. Like, yeah, it is a lot of money. It is a lot of money. It's still a hit to their check. But to a man like Deshaun that just got a guaranteed $150 million contract.
Well, that money doesn't come. That money don't start hitting the next season, though.
It's and here's the thing. So, like,
yeah, all he has to take is a season suspension. By the time that's over, he's made that back.
So,
and he's still getting paid by the Texans this year. So,
the one thing I will say on the $8 million fine is when you look at currently, Deshaun has gotten career-wise about $80 million, which obviously that's no chump change, but $8 million, that does equal 10% of what he's made. So right now that is a substantial amount for him. You've got, but yes, he does still have.
I mean, he also owns 2 restaurants in Houston. Like, he's got other income.
Right. But now the thing that I find interesting and that I think is the ultimate power move by Goodell in this scenario is that Goodell, instead of choosing to hear the case himself, which he could have, he has actually elected a designee. It is going to be former New Jersey Attorney General Peter C. Harvey.
Did Goodell make a good decision?
Honestly, here's my theory behind this, because I've been mulling this over since that got announced today that there is going to be a designee that hears it, not Goodell.
We have to hang on. I have to call attention to the biggest fan that the Sports Report has is KW is here. KW is here, ladies and gentlemen.
KW, what's up?
What's up, KW?
KW.
With Goodell appointing a designee. So now, of course, this is somebody that Goodell appoints. So there is still going to be some assumed NFL, league leaning in this. But the job of the designee is to determine, based on Judge Sue Robinson's findings, if if the punishment was appropriate, or if there needs to be additional, additions to the punishment.
If the designee doesn't, oh my God.
Well, and so I said before, Judge Sue Robinson made her ruling based on the precedent that the NFL has set. The NFL is going to argue that this does not compare to those previous cases. This is a more advanced thing, and there needs to be more done, to set the expectation because of the severity of the accusations.
Do you think all this is going to take?
The NFL is going to give them the option, again, before this hearing, of settling at 12 games and $8 million. That's that's the first thing that's going to happen. The next thing that's going to happen is the NFL is going to hope that the designee increases the punishment and adds in, as far as games served or punishment games and the monetary fine. They're still shooting for that year with the indefinite, hoping they get it, because that's what the NFL wants, because they want to be able to control whether or not he comes back based on additional allegations. And that's what they're and that's part of what they're banking on, is they're expecting that other allegations could come forward, and the NFL wants to have control on whether or not he gets back onto the field. And so one of the other pieces that's interesting with this is the appeal is not, or the appeal is centered around adding more time. So unless Deshaun's camp ends up taking this to court, which I think the designee is a play on that to make them consider the settlement offer of 12 games and $8 million, as well as the consideration, and making him think twice about trying to make it a federal case, depending on how the designee rules. Because it's not Goodell, it's still another appointed person. So while Goodell did the right thing in appealing, because the 6 games isn't enough, that's clear.
Yep.
He's also making it more difficult on the NFLPA and Deshaun Watson's camp as a whole to decide on what the next steps will be, depending on that, because of the fact that it's not Goodell ruling on it. So it's going to make it that much harder for them to get any leg room, or to get any to get any leeway if they take the case to a federal court, like Brady did with Deflategate.
Which is probably why Goodell is taking this route this time. There is no.
What's great about this is it's so much the smartest move Goodell could have made in this scenario in regards to the appeal, that nobody expected him to appoint a designee. If you look across everybody that's discussing this, all the analysts, all of the articles, nobody predicted that Goodell would appoint a designee to hear this case. He would put it in his pocket and give him what he wants to give him. Goodell appointing a designee makes it still that he didn't, he's not controlling this. It's still the CBA process playing out, and he's not directly getting involved.
Well,
as much. So go ahead. Sorry.
What I also said last night was the fact that it's going to be kind of hard for Roger Goodell to be partial in that, because he works. Well, I said the other night that he works for the owners, so he sort of kind of had to recuse himself somewhat in all this, because he works for the Browns owner.
He does, and so this move of a designee tries to keep it more impartial,
right?
Without completely and appealing the length of the suspension and not the findings or anything. Because it's important to note, in Judge Sue Robinson's findings, if you read those, she does determine, based on the available information, that he was guilty of committing sexual assault under the league's definition, that he did cause put the shield in a negative light, so to speak. I'm paraphrasing there, but he did make a bad look on the shield, and that he did engage in, while they classified it as nonviolent, it was still predatory behavior, and he showed no remorse. She specifically documented all of these things in her findings. And so my belief is that the NFL is going to use those things to emphasize the importance of increasing the punishment, whereas Deshaun's camp is going to try using Ben Roethlisberger's situation as their point of reference for why it shouldn't change.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Seven just said. I can't really say anything against it. Nope. On that,
what the hell's going on?
On a lighter note, real quick, the Jaguars are getting stomped by the Raiders in the first official NFL preseason game of the year, 20-0.
Well, that don't surprise nobody.
I mean, I would have expected them both.
Come on, sunshine, sunshine, sunshine.
No, I agree.
Y'all wrong for that.
Is there any way you think they can settle with the 12?
You guys are so wrong for that. I'm gonna remember that.
If Deshaun Watson's camp is smart, and they do get the opportunity from the NFL, because the NFL could say, you know what, fuck him, we're relying on the designee. But if the NFL comes back with the 12 games, $8 million, and Deshaun Watson's camp rejects it,
they're stupid.
They are fucking stupid because they are no longer in a position of power.
Yeah.
They were hoping the NFL wasn't going to appeal Judge Sue Robinson's ruling because this is the first real case that Sue Robinson has had since the change in the CBA. But the NFL realized that they could not just leave this as it sits because of public attention, which I think is fantastic. And so they want to, because the NFL wants to increase the punishment, but the NFL also wants to do what they can to get this resolved before the start of the season. The NFL doesn't want this still in the news cycle at the start of the season.
Right. They want that thing to be gone.
And so that's why I think that the NFL will go back and say, hey, 12 games, $8 million. Now do we have your attention? And Deshaun Watson's camp better go, fuck yeah, let's go. Because if it gets to that hearing,
that's what I was saying at the beginning. Is it, really, if the NFL is okay with that, like that's the perfect storm for everybody on all sides. Like if the NFL is okay making that offer, which listening to you, I'm not so sure they do, because I think they got a pretty strong case to get what they're asking. Truly, if they sell it like 7 just sold it. Mind you.
Here's and I thank you. I appreciate that. Here's the thing that I would say. The reason the NFL wants Deshaun Watson to settle goes back to what I just said. They don't want this in the news cycle, and they don't want Deshaun on the field week 1 because then it will be louder in the news cycle. Mm-hmm. So if you get him to settle now, which is why I think they will tender the offer again, you get the opportunity to get this done and over with. Because let's say the designee does grant the NFL's request. Huge monetary fine, we'll say the $8 million and the indefinite suspension minimum of 1 year with all the requirements that they want. The NFL gets what they want, carte blanche, okay? Deshaun can file in federal court to appeal it. And at the same time, the NFLPA would also file a restraining order preventing the NFL from keeping him off the field until the court case has been ruled on. Now, the reason the Browns don't want that is because the 6 games is still going to hold. A lot of people have to remember that's not going anywhere. Nope. So the longer this gets drawn out,
up the suspension, even though it's being appealed. Right now, that is what the punishment is.
Right. It doesn't, and so the Browns risk Deshaun not being there next season if it takes that long, which it potentially could. Brady's case took a year. And so now you have a lot more things in limbo. You're risking not having, you're risking more because they are building this lineup to have Deshaun Watson by the end of this year and working into next year. That's what they're doing. If you look at what Cleveland is doing, they are banking on that. And the more we fuck up this timeline, the harder it is for them to nail it down.
Exactly.
And so Cleveland wants this gone. That's why they didn't even appeal the 6 games. That's why the NFLPA didn't appeal the 6 games, because they want it gone. The NFL does too, but they also know that the public outcry is not going to go away until we get to at least a substantial monetary fine and at least 12 games. I think the NFL has even realized that 8 games is not enough. Let's see if we can get Dan in here if it's working.
Yep.
Can you hear us now, buddy?
Yes.
You good? Okay.
We got you.
Sorry about that, guys.
Damn it, I was hoping not to hear that voice tonight.
Ah, fuck that. What's up?
So, yeah, like I said, the NFL has a vested interest in going back and saying 12 games, 8 million, take it now, or this is gonna be a big fucking problem for everybody.
Yep. Agreed.
And Deshaun and the position that they're in now, especially because you add in those findings in Judge Stu Robinson's ruling, he risks more if he doesn't take the offer. So my personal theory is that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Because
Dan, any opinion on this? I mean, we've talked about it for a little bit.
Not really. I mean, I would wait until that actual thing comes out, until whatever happens comes out, because they haven't actually done anything yet, right? I mean, I just saw urges Roger Goodell to do the right thing from.
Well, no, he appealed it. He's going to assign a designee to hear the case, and
so it's not going to be him.
So it's not going to be him. It's going to be a who'd you say, Seven?
It's former Attorney General for the state of New Jersey, Peter Harvey, is the guy's name.
An arbitrator.
Basically, yeah, it's another arbitrator that's appointed by the NFL.
Harvey Dent.
And that makes sense.
So we're talking that there's a good chance that the NFL comes back to Deshaun's camp and to Cleveland and says, hey, 12 games, 8 million, take it or leave it, or we're going to this guy. Because,
right.
I mean, if you heard what Seven just said and how he laid it out, if the NFL can lay it out that smoothly, Deshaun, they'll get what they want, and that's the indefinite suspension. Certain terms have to be met for him to come back. And you think still 8 million, Seven. I think if he turns down the offer, they go higher. I would say more like 20.
I would, because of his career earnings so far and his salary for this year, I don't think it's going to go above the 8 million, because that's already substantially higher than any fine they've levied against a player for anything. Michael Vick, Ray Rice, none of those guys saw that high of a fine. Even when you think about scaling because of inflation and that shit, they didn't see that kind of a monetary fine. So I truly believe the 8 million is where that part is going to land. But hey, I could be wrong.
They could split it up over a couple of seasons.
Wouldn't the best move for the NFL just to be like, hey, you're like, go to Deshaun and do the 12 games or whatever, but then literally say like, hey, we're actually going to say that you're suspended indefinitely though, right? And then suspend him indefinitely until it gets out to like 12 games or so, and then be like, okay, well, now we're going to hold the suspension up. You know what I'm saying? So it looks like they're suspending him forever at the beginning. You know, they're like, he's just done from football. And then you just say, like, we're not really doing that, though. We're actually going to come back in, week 11 and be like, hey, well, he's going to get reinstated. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't say that you kicked him out forever, but basically make it like, hey, he might be done the whole year, and then bring him back at 12 games. Isn't that the best move for the NFL, though? Because then they look cock strong, right? But they also are going to him and being like,
hey, Pierce.
What's up, Mr. Austin? How are you doing,
Pierce.
sir?
What's up, Pierce?
What's up, Pierce?
Pierce is such a sweet name.
I see what you're saying, but the problem is the NFL risks when they pull him back on that shortened thing and not a full year, it's back in the news cycle. They want to establish it, and when it's back in the news cycle again, because it's
if you just say 12 months or 12 games, when his 12 games has come up, no one is thinking about it again.
Guys, it doesn't matter, because he's going to come off of a 12-game suspension, and it's going to be news. He's going to come back from a 12-game suspension.
It's not going to be. It's going to be NFL news. It's not going to be national news.
It'll still hit the national.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I don't know.
I think 12 games will be sufficient enough. You won't hear another outcry after it, unless there gets to be more allegations. That's I
also think too, as long as he stays, quiet and everything like that, I think the biggest news is his comeback.
And so here's the thing that I'm saying. If you put, if you leave the 6 games, okay, the noise level is going to be here. You get it to 12 games. It's 12 games. It drops to here. When he comes back, you get to about here for a week, maybe on the long end too, because of the whiny ass people that are still going to dig because there's not going to be enough for some people. And so that don't war will be there for a little bit. Kind of like the fact that Ben Roethlisberger is a rapist.
Ben Roethlisberger is a rapist.
I agree.
Seven, unless they publicly noose him up, like unless they hang him in public, there's not going to be enough for some people. Like that's going to be.
Piers, I guess we need to start talking some rugby.
Yes, just not in agreement.
Just that works. Just like when your wife is talking, you have no idea.
We're talking about a semi-rapist, and then we just talked about another rapist. They both play in the National Football League, which is American football.
But yeah, and so, but if you the other scenario, so like if you do the indefinite 1 year, he gets reinstated in the offseason. That is 1 week of articles. Maybe once on each of the sports shows they discuss it. Hey, this is, the NFL said in their release when they reinstated him that he's done this, he's done this, he's done this. So now it's just back to football. What do you guys think? Well, I don't know. It's going to be hard. Some of those guys are going to be looking at him funny because they don't know. It's going to be hard on the Browns. Like there's that. I mean, but outside of that one discussion, the noise will quiet down. So in the NFL, despite the lack of control they have on news now because of social media, this one will be very easy for them to manipulate and have a smaller flow than some of the other scenarios that can come to mind.
I get what you're saying. As opposed,
I had to bring this comment up because the fact is, like, half of our pro athletes wouldn't be pro athletes if they weren't.
Yeah, bro. Hey, that's what we do over here. They're playing professional sports and they're banging. They're gang banging.
Like, man, how many felons have we had in pro sports?
It's part of the thing, dude.
Man, I mean, the Cowboys wouldn't have had their dynasty in the 90s if we couldn't have felons on the football field.
Also, though, appears like a fourth of this panel would not be here if we couldn't have felons on. No, but
50%.
Yeah, 50% of this panel could not be here. So, but like, yeah, I think it depends on what it's for, though, too. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's certain
if it's
felonies,
murder, you're fine.
Certain felonies, I get it.
If it's murder, it's fine. But if it's money laundering or something that negatively impacts the NFL financially, then no, you're not going to get to play again.
Right.
Also, weed is apparently very, very bad.
In college up until a year ago.
Right. I've been to Australia and it was fucking delightful. Your guys' accents actually get annoying after a while, though. I'm not gonna lie to you. You probably think the same thing about ours, though. Quite frankly,
I just think your voice is annoying, but that's just because I've been friends with you for 6 years.
Exactly. Well, obviously, coming from the guy who thinks his voice, I'm the one who thinks my voice is the most annoying. Obviously,
Honest truth, I've said this on shows before. It is hard for me to rewatch our shows because I hate the sound of my own voice.
Right. It's hard to listen to yourself sometimes. I was actually watching the bad shows that we've done, earlier today, like bad shows that we've done. I know me and Seven have done bad shows, and it's really hard to listen to that. Like not only for your own voice, but how badly that I did during them. You know what I'm saying? That is a lot. I saw that.
Some players refused to play because it was against their religious beliefs. Yeah, we've had some stuff with that too. Baseball players.
And then he said, "Don't diss his people."
Oh, I'm not dissing them. They're fantastic people. It was awesome, but eventually that Australian accent is no longer charming.
That's probably how it feels like if you move from the West Coast to Boston, that Boston accent has got to get ear raping after a while.
So,
absolutely.
So have we talked have we talked all about this sexual assault rapist? Because if not, if we're done, I've got another one to talk about. That'd be Vince McMahon.
Okay, fair enough. You're just moving on. That's what we do. We're gonna rename the show
from one to the other.
I mean, shit. Like it's like there's a sexual assault case in some sport or another.
Tonight
we could do a whole show just
tonight on the Predator Report. Same song though. Same song though. No one goes hard like we do. Same song. Just don't change anything.
Same song.
Don't change anything about it. Just change the word.
Oh God.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's great. Oh God. Okay.
Vince McMahon. He ran the WWE
really, I wanted to talk about
like a strip club.
and we talked about a lot of this last night. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this. I know Dan has very little to add to this topic.
Oh, I have a lot to add. It's just not right. It's not correct. None of us probably right. Sorry, I don't want to put out.
Just wanted to kind of rediscuss what we kind of talked about Monday night and what me and you talked about last night. Will Seven was unable to join us; he was out on assignment. And the direction that WWE is heading now that Triple H is in charge. You saw the ratings for Monday night; they're the highest ratings since January. And what we talked about last night, Will, was that you haven't seen a lot of huge changes. It's just been little things. The Dakota Kai, Bailey, all of that.
Sometimes the little things are all you need.
Oh, well, no, honestly, I think that's the best way. Triple H couldn't go in there and just like
blow it
make
up.
it NXT black and gold.
Right
away.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
It takes time. It takes time.
Yeah.
He needs to take those little increments and do it right. And even if you watched NXT this week, it already seems like they're going back a little bit more to the old ways. It does seem like they're going to keep some of the new stuff, but just they are still going to bring in pro wrestlers where Vince had stopped that for a while. He was only looking at athletes.
Triple H understands one thing. There are some things that can work if you do it in a specific way. And so making those small tweaks to enable that is still a way to continue to develop the product while also, starting to make the fans feel like they're more heard. Because I think that what you're seeing is a lot of the smaller things that fans of, sports entertainment have been asking for from the WWE product for a time.
Yes.
And it's and a lot of these things can seem like big changes, but you can achieve those big changes by making small changes at the bottom and letting the ripple effects take their course.
Well, right. Yeah. I was just about to bring that up, Will. Like it had to be gradual because especially with WWE audience, wrestling audience in general, fuck WWE audience, wrestling audience in general. They're so fucking fickle. And we've discussed it on multiple shows on how toxic the internet wrestling community is. And if they went and tried to change things, like people would just go and tear it apart. It would just cause more drama. These little tweaks like that faction. We know for a fact Vince turned that faction down. Triple H thought it was a good idea. Becky's face turn was Triple H's idea.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about it multiple times. However, that SummerSlam main event had Triple H all over it because it just read so much DX Attitude Era to me.
You want to almost lull them to sleep with the changes, and then when it's all set, when it's all like done and where they want it to be, people will be like, "Holy shit, this has changed for the better." And right. Instead of like
that's
you want to just like lull them to sleep with it, and then be like, "Oh, okay." Well, when it's finished, you're like, the people are like, "Oh, this actually is better than it used to be," and then it's not like the whole like the shock.
Right? Yeah, and Piers is right that you can't do everything real quick.
You can't just have the Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch live sex celebration on TV right away. Like it just can't happen right away.
There's free pornography here in the United States.
There is, but I think also part of this is with Triple H taking over creative with everything that was going on. I think that when Sasha and Naomi left, I think that was a product of the culture that was going on within wrestling, especially with the wrestlers and creative and upper management.
Definitely WWE,
yes. That was just evidence of the culture. And Triple H, not only is he having to manage the product that we as viewers see, but he's also trying to calm them the fuck down because he doesn't want a mass exodus to AEW to where he doesn't have a product for them to even try and sell if that's still their end goal. So it's Triple H is doing things on two fronts, and I think that some of these things like the suggested factions and stuff like that, those are not just to make it interesting for the fans. Those are also because with some of these stories, these performers are engaging in involved in the development, and if they spent all this time feeling like they're not being heard, they're gonna be really pissed off.
Well,
That
and
they're not getting involved with the creative of the character.
There was a match on Raw the other night. It was Montez Ford versus Seth Rollins. The casual fan has absolutely no interest in that match. That match was 100% for the mark for a person like me, because it's two really good wrestlers just putting on an amazing match. But that's Triple H. He's good. That's what made NXT so good for years, is he could have the story, he could have the great matches, the great talent in the ring, and I agree. I think Bischoff said you'll really start to see changes in 60 to 90 days.
Yeah, I agree with him on that.
So ultimately,
and that's the way it should be.
So ultimately, like the meat of the WWE and any wrestling faction should be the actual match, correct? Like that should be the actual draw to it, because listen, the NFL has drama, and NBA, I've talked about that before, has drama and stuff in it, but the games are just so fucking good that people would watch them regardless of what they know about the athletes.
Every type of wrestling is different. American wrestling, yes, that would be true. We tend to go more storyline. Well, no, American wrestling, no, that's not true. They tend to go more of a storyline route with it, where they're telling a story. Yes, they might be telling a story in the ring, but there's also probably a larger story,
a lot of stuff outside of it
that they're telling outside of the ring. Like there's a feud with this man's wife or whatever.
So let me change that to a question. Do Americans want the actual meat to be the match? You know what I'm saying? Like, do they actually, because that's like 85% of it. Right?
Piers just answered your question. The actual wrestling is secondary in mainstream wrestling.
Right.
In mainstream wrestling is secondary, but that's not actually true so much in AEW. AEW tells a lot of their stories in the ring, but they're trying to be more sports based.
Here's how I would explain it. When it comes to and like you said, the product, AEW is more about what's in the ring. WWE is more about the story, but the WWE also spends a lot more on production than AEW does. And that's going to be a piece of it. They build the story differently, but you still have to have the standard of what's going on in the ring, because not every wrestler is going to be like CM Punk, where they can cover up with a mediocre mat performance by being god tier on the mic. That's honestly a more rare occurrence. So you've got to be able to hold your own on both sides, especially in WWE. It's more important in WWE than it is in any of the other mainstream promotions.
And I agree with that, Pierce. When I was covering ACW back in the day, this is back in the day where they had Athena, Rachel Summerlin, great wrestlers down there, and most of their matches went no longer than maybe 5-10 minutes. Now you had a few that did, but those were specialty matches that went over that long.
I would say Mission, when I went to Mission Pros, most of theirs was 15 probably 20, some of them.
Yeah.
I want
unless you're Taker Foley Hell in a Cell esque type match,
or if you
5, 10, 15, really,
I mean, they're even on the indies, there are some matches that deserve 20 minutes, but there's very few.
Or if you're dealing with two pros in the ring who knows how to call a match. I would say
Impact is still considered mainstream. They're not big mainstream, but they're still mainstream.
Yeah,
they're mainstream.
They just need a TV deal. Come on,
man. A better TV deal.
Yeah, better.
Yeah, honestly, I've said this
would really make an impact
times,
for them.
If Impact had a better TV deal, they would be pushed in AEW for the number 2 promotion, because honestly, Impact has better stories. Impact is building better wrestlers. Like, I'm more connected right now. I'm watching both, and Impact keeps my attention more than AEW half the time. Just my opinion.
I agree.
Interesting.
I said that last night on ASAP show. That AEW is kind of losing the backseat to Impact in terms of storylines and building stars. Impact is doing it.
I do think that these promotions that they did that we talked about yesterday with Sanjay Dutt, QT Marshall, Tony Schiavone will help their creative, and I hope to see a little more storytelling outside of the ring. I think that would improve AEW's product 1,000%.
Is the money there to do it right though? That's my question, because they're
Tony
very
has a
focused
lot
on
of
paying.
money. People think that he's hurting, but he's really not hurting. He has a lot of money.
I understand that Tony Khan has a lot of money, but what I'm saying is the money that's there in the company, is there enough there for them to be able to do it right? Because you've got to be able to, you've got to have the money there from the start, because you've got to be able to draw viewers in. But if the money's not there to start it and contain it for a little while, then that's going to just be that much more of a hurdle and that much more of a financial loss that they experience. Makes it harder for them to continue at least doing what they're doing.
I agree with you on this, Pierce, but I think that if Impact had a better TV deal and was getting out there to the number of people that AEW is on a weekly basis, they could be pulling close to AEW numbers.
You also said something interesting, is that they need some type of a streaming deal.
Agreed with that too. That's
they should absolutely have a streaming deal. That should be done regardless, because you can at least get money from the marks,
right?
Like Josie,
right?
In a second, you give me one place to watch all my AEW. That's deal. One thing. Another thing I feel like Impact does really well. They have their streaming service. You can be a member on YouTube, and you get so much extra stuff.
You get so much extra stuff, but AEW really needs a good streaming service.
Fair enough.
All right.
Did you guys? Okay, sorry. Are we doing hardwood next?
Well, I was gonna say, are we moving on to the to baseball or NBA?
We can do NBA real quick, because Dan like he got something to say. Dan got something to say. So
I have a proposed trade that you guys need to see.
Oh my God!
Hardwood real quick.
We're not even.
Okay, I got to hear this deal.
So the Golden State Warriors apparently are sniffing around this. This is actual. Yeah, put it up, will you?
I'm gonna put this up just a second. This is the dumbest fucking thing in the world.
It's not the dumbest thing in the world. This is actually, I looked it up. This is actually like this. Apparently, is floating around a little bit.
This is what I think you are.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. All right, and this is a trade from the Golden State Warriors for LeBron James.
Golden State gets LeBron. Lakers receive Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga, 2026 first-round pick, 2028 first-round pick for one.
That's
LeBron
actually
Jordan.
That's actually been in the workings.
You think this actually happens?
No, it's actually been talked about. I swear to God.
They ain't gonna happen. You know why that won't happen?
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen, I don't think, but I just wanted to get your guys' take on it. If it does, it might. Hey, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's a lot of smoke on this. How's that not a good deal for both teams?
I mean, it is. You can't argue that it isn't.
You're just doing that to help restock the Lakers.
Steph Curry is 30.
And all LeBron.
That is,
the only reason why I hate this deal. The only reason why I hate this deal is because LeBron later has 2 good seasons left in him. That's the only thing I hate about this deal.
Will, you would have said that 2 years ago, by the way.
No, I wouldn't.
You would have said that.
And
really?
It doesn't matter if he's only got 2 good seasons left in him.
Two good seasons left in him.
He's already
you guys
said
don't
he's playing
know
long
that.
enough to play a season with his kid. So
you guys don't know that exactly, and you guys don't know how long LeBron James can go. At
I'm
this point,
not even talking about that.
Here's the thing. And here's why I know now. Okay,
Steph Curry's 33 years old.
The only possible way this happens is if they can get a 2-year deal out of LeBron. He has to sign it, with the trade. He has to sign a 2-year deal because LeBron's only got 1 year left on his current contract.
Keeps
so 2-year deal. Wasn't he eligible for the extension today?
Yes. Usually, no. He completely he dictates his own terms on all that stuff. He just signed the 2-year for the first time in like 8 years. He was just doing the 1-year deals forever, and then he just signed the 2-year deal with Los Angeles in like the worst time he possibly could because
I thought
he wouldn't be back with Los Angeles
where he could have signed like a $97 million extension.
He's eligible as of today to do a 2-year max extension if he wants. It would be worth $97 million.
Yeah,
and so, but I don't. Golden State's going to want that 2 years, And I think they would. I don't know how you can get that much weight back for LeBron with only a couple of years.
You guys don't know he is going to be. I'm telling you,
You're
he's going to be out there
on
at
his
45 years
You're
old.
giving up a button
On his contract.
It's not so much I'm worried about the
We'll
draft picks. You giving up you getting up a button talent in Wiggins. Wiggins is an up and comer. That's my issue. You don't know what the draft picks are. You don't know what the draft picks are.
You
don't know what the draft picks are going to be.
Andrew Wiggins has been around for fucking ever. Don't you remember this? He's been around forever. He disappeared in Minnesota. The only reason he was any halfway good is because he was in Golden State, and nobody wanted to guard him. Nobody wanted to guard him.
Let me ask you this, Dan. So, from your standpoint, you would get LeBron, put him on Golden State, and if you hated Kevin Durant being on Golden State, you would hate even more LeBron being on Golden State. That's another almost guaranteed title.
It's not a guaranteed title.
Yes, it is.
It's not, but I mean, they're in the Western Conference Finals for sure, and they probably won a title. Yeah, but
Clay, LeBron, Draymond, for what Draymond brings you. You got Wiseman coming back at the center position. Man, come on.
Why would Golden State? Here's my question: why would Golden State not do this right now and try and win a couple more titles right now? Because they're getting to the end of their primes. Like Steph Curry is getting to the end of his prime. People don't play until they're 38 years old in a prime still, like LeBron James does. That's not real. Like Steph Curry is 33 years old. Klay Thompson has had multiple knee surgeries and is clearly not the same athlete. Clearly not the same athlete that he was. Correct. You have Draymond Green, was already slow and he's getting slower. Okay, so like you want to do this as soon as possible. Like they just want to win now. If you want to win now, why do you not see a Jordan Poole?
So we hated it when KD went over there. We really going to accept it because it's LeBron.
Who is
I don't think people would hate on it. Just this post right here.
I mean, Kevin Durant.
Watch how Bron fans would love this trade, but still criticize KD.
If he goes back, I have never. By the way, me personally have never criticized Kevin Durant for going to Golden State. It does take away from his legacy. It's not like he won those titles in Oklahoma City. It's not like he just fucking carried the Oklahoma City Thunder on his back and won back-to-back titles. He didn't do that because he didn't. But I like it because if he goes to Golden State, if they make that trade, hypothetically, because we're talking hypotheticals, if he goes to Golden State and they win back-to-back titles, ain't nobody going to be able to talk shit about anything because
that's the only reason, Seven. That's the only reason. That's the only reason because he want Bron to get 6.
If that happens, you're
he
right.
He want Bron to get 6. That's the only reason why he's bringing this up. He want Bron to get 6.
Of course, I want LeBron to get 6. Why would I not?
That's the only reason why he can get 6. Oh wait, now he's got a scoring title, and he's got 6. He's better than Jordan.
Will, I hope to tell you,
he already is better than Jordan.
He doesn't want 6. He wants 7.
I believe that.
He wants.
He can't have 7. 7 with us.
I don't know. He could. There's a dollar amount. There's a dollar amount. If he was like 7, I want you to come with me. I'd be like, how much? And if that dollar amount has at least one comma in it, I'm gonna start thinking about it.
Yeah,
because I got some fucking bills to pay.
Guys, he would be easily removable from this. What he's saying is it's pretty easy to remove him from this particular. Yeah.
I'm very viable. My price is very, very low.
I'm for sale and I run this bitch.
Right. Right. I'm just building an infrastructure to literally just take over pinfall and just move it to a different station. It's gonna be the Dick station. The Dick podcast. And I'm just gonna move everybody over. It's gonna be the same thing, but I'm just gonna move it over to my
But that is interesting because the Lakers could use those draft picks to restock. That's
okay.
Interesting.
Hold on. Here's my question though. Okay, so the Lakers need to restock, but you just like we talked about, the prime for Steph and Seth is coming to a close. You're going to need those draft picks, and because that's what 2020. What does that say? I'm gonna put that back. 2026 or Steph? Yeah, Steph and LeBron. Okay, and that's a 2026 first round pick and a 2028. Golden State is going to need those picks, even with the way that their roster is currently. And you're also going to sacrifice Wiggins, Poole, and Kuminga.
Jordan Poole is the best player out of all three of those guys, by the way.
I might do Poole and Kuminga.
No, Jordan Poole's the best player out of all three of those.
I could see
Jordan Poole's a
Wiggins and
stud.
Wiggins, Kuminga, and one of those picks.
I can't see that and that.
If it's constructed like that, though, it's actually worth it for both teams because Golden State wants to win right now, and they just won a title. They realize that this isn't going to last for that long. Why do you have a 2026 first round pick with Steph Curry at 33 years old? Why do you have a 2028 first round pick with Steph Curry at 33 years old? Steph
That's
Curry
4 years from now.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Right.
Steph Curry ain't coming. No. You got to win right now. That's what the NBA is. You have to win right now. When you have a transcendent talent like Stephen Curry, you have to win right now. They just won a title, dude. He doesn't have that long left. It's not like
that's why they don't want to get rid of the picks.
What if they waste that 2028 first round pick on a guy like fucking?
You don't know. That's
how about Greg Oden? You don't know.
That's the key. You don't know what these draft picks end up going to be.
What do we know, Will? What do we know? That Stephen Curry is a transcendent talent. That would have been the first overall pick.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong. And basically any draft minus the 2003 one.
Minus the draft 3. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He would have been the number one pick.
I agree.
He's the greatest shooter that's ever lived. You have a transcendent talent. I'm saying right now, go for it. You don't have another guy like this walking through the door. You don't have another guy like LeBron James walking through the door. Those draft picks or whatever those draft picks are fucking fairy dust. Get rid of them and win right now.
Can you imagine the backlash Golden State to get for this? Can you imagine
the backlash LeBron James would get for this, Will?
Hell yeah, both of them.
LeBron James would take so much shit for this, and I would love every bit of it.
Boys. A lot of hits. First of all, the Lakers
would have an aneurysm.
First of all,
Skip Bayless we would finally get the proof that Skip is a lizard person because he finds this out. He's going to just molt out of his human skin and turn into his lizard form and just
his face.
Look at it like this. The Lakers fans are already crucifying him for taking away that young base. That's the first thing, because when you lost that young base and you got that, you got a ring out of it. But what's going to happen when LeBron gone? Young base is gone. So LeBron going to take heat for that. Golden State's gonna take the heat for it because, wait a minute, we want to make sure we stay viable. We're gonna get another marksman or another assassin like we did with Kevin Durant. So it's gonna be heat on both sides.
Right. But the thing is, you know what squelches a lot of that heat, Will?
Winning.
Fucking titles.
Winning titles. You can just shove that fucking Naismith trophy. Just
shove it right fucking in there. Just get it nice and that's all you do. That's what you have to do.
Shining that real good. Turn that sideways.
Absolutely. And kick it. Like fucking get down fucking down everybody's fucking throat, dude. Fuck them. Because I'm getting titles. That's all it's about. That's all it should be about. And they are on the deadline at this point. Like Steph Curry's ankles ain't getting any younger. He's not out there eating babies, man. What
was his primary injury when he first got into the
both of his ankles?
Ankle injuries.
Almost derailed his career to a point where it didn't even get off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember seeing him. I remember his rookie year, seeing him at the All-Star game. I think it was in like the skills competition or something. And then never heard word one from him. And they were hyping him up so much
for a year and a half.
You guys remember?
Never heard anything. And then like 2 years later, he's just killing it.
You guys remember that trade that they were supposed to do for Steph Curry, but because of his injury history, they traded Monta Ellis instead?
Yes. Yeah.
Where was he going to go?
And now...
It was Milwaukee, wasn't it?
It was Milwaukee.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Bucks.
Because they wanted Steph Curry.
Hey, also, guys... Go ahead.
They wanted Steph Curry, but because of his injury history, they backed off of Steph and went on the Monte route.
Monte Ellis.
They got Monte Ellis.
Who signed a big deal with him and then just quit.
And you know what, though?
He was like, see ya.
And you know what, though? The thing that shocked me about that, I'm shocked they kind of did it because Monte was popular.
Monte was popular. Monte was a good scorer. He was a good scorer. He was fucking exciting. Like, fans loved him because, I think he was lefty, right? Little lefty shooter. Mm-hmm. Fans loved him. He was kind of like an Isaiah Thomas type. Older, but obviously in a different generation. But Milwaukee's done a couple of bad deals, by the way. They did a deal in 1998. They traded their number 9 overall pick, and I don't know if you guys know about this. They traded their number 9 overall pick in 1998 NBA draft for Robert Tractor Trailer.
I remember that.
Do you know who that number 9 pick was?
Yeah, I remember that.
Dirk Werner Nowitzki was their number 9 pick. They traded him to the Dallas Mavericks for Robert Tractor Trailer. That is a couple of that's a couple of deals in your history that you do not want.
And Robert Tractor Trailer did not last long.
Nothing. He ate everything in Milwaukee. All that cheese.
He ate
all of that cheese in Wisconsin.
You want to talk about being huge. He was huge.
He was like six. I think on his rookie card he's listed at 6'10", 310, and he is every bit.
Generous.
He's every bit.
310.
310 is generous.
Dude, Will, yes, every bit of 350. He's every bit. He looks like 350 pounds of chewed bubble gum.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Go back and look at Sean Kemp in Cleveland. Same deal.
Big old
Same
bastard.
deal with Sean Kemp. Big old dude.
Double chin.
I've been talking about some. I'm trying to get bulk to get my muscle. Nah, dog, you don't do that eating cheeseburgers, man.
Well, Will, think about it. At that point, they were looking for Shaquille O'Neal types, right? And Tractor Trailer looks like a kind of like, okay, well, Shaq, like kind of like 4 years after he's in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Where you got a little meat on him, but Shaq's just so freakish. You can't compare him to anybody else. It wasn't like Tractor Trailer was going to be, you know, he's going to be Shaq. Like they were like, oh yeah, maybe we get Shaq out of it. Like, no, he's just fat. He's just fat and tall.
He's fat.
Like that's
it's fat and long. That's it.
There's a difference. There's a difference.
Hey, did y'all know that Robert Tractor Trailer died in 2011?
Mm-hmm.
I knew he was dead. Yeah, and we're just like shitting all over him. But
so hold on. For those that want to see, I'm actually trying to pull up. Give me just a second.
He was real good in college. Obviously.
And
you got a bunch of players like that. Glenn Big Baby Davis was the same way.
Christian Laettner.
He was a little bit more talented than Robert Tractor Trailer, but
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Oh, the guys that are like were like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, that's his. I mean, he's clearly overweight right there, guys.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's obviously in shape, and I wouldn't tell him that to his face that he's overweight, but like he's clearly overweight, right? I mean,
yeah.
And they were just like, okay, well maybe he can be Shaq, and then point is here, Milwaukee's made a couple of bad transactions. That one being the biggest one. And I actually I collect Robert Trailer cards because he was traded for Dirk.
If Dirk would have stayed in Milwaukee,
I wouldn't have went the same way. I'll tell you that much.
Wouldn't went the same way.
He would have been a great scorer. And dude, there's guys who talk about Dirk when he first came in about how it was Kobe. I think there was a Kobe quote where he said when his first year in the NBA, when I saw him play, he said, I thought he was going to get just bitched. I thought he was going to be out of the NBA in a year, and because he was so fragile, like he was so he was like Chet Holmgren kind of, and he was playing in that physical era still. The late '90s was still physical, like you could still bump people up and everything, and he was playing that physical era, and he just got dominated, and apparently just got in the weight room for real. Like got in the weight room and kind of grew into his body apparently, and that's what helped him out a ton, and he obviously developed his game, but like at the same time, like his Euro style wasn't really working, so.
I don't care what people say. I'll take that. I'll take his one Dallas ring over KD's too.
I think so too. Just because of how fucking difficult that ring is.
And look who that team. Look who those teams beat.
God, dude, and just in weird fashion too. Like just as a team, like Jason Kidd was like the weirdest shell of himself at that time too. Yep. Like he just like literally would stand out there and shoot flat-footed threes. That's what Jason Kidd did that entire year. Like. Dish and shoot flat-footed threes, and he was like really good at it. But at the same time, he was not even close to Jason Kidd that we know. You know, like the Phoenix one, running the break and shit. Like he was a coach on the floor basically, and like that, and Dirk just did it by himself. Just
Phoenix got his best years, like when he got back to Dallas, he was not.
And don't forget, you still had Jason Terry, and you had little JJ.
Sean Marion.
Little JJ boy.
Huge part of it. Eric Dampier was on that team.
God, I hadn't seen him in forever.
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
That's a name I haven't heard in a minute.
He was one of the strongest guys to ever play in the NBA, though. He weighed like 330, but he was solid brick shithouse.
He was solid muscle.
Yeah,
he wasn't fat.
He wasn't fat. Terrible at basketball. Terrible. Just absolutely terrible. But he got rebounds. Good for him.
That's all he needs. That's all he needs. Rebounds and blocks. That's all you need for a big man back then.
Hey, Josie.
Yeah.
Speaking of cards. Check this one out. You got. Can you see it?
Look at that.
Look how cool that card is.
Oh, Jake Myers.
Jake Myers, rookie, but it's got the orange jersey on the orange jersey picture, which is fucking sweet, dude. Right? That's a jersey piece in the middle.
Oh, that's a jersey. Oh,
yeah, right in the middle. See it? That's a piece of the jersey.
That's cool.
Isn't that cool? Yeah. Jake Myers is okay, right? he needs to do better to get this card to make worth more.
We need you to step it up.
Since you brought it around to baseball,
Let's go ahead and kick it up.
That reminds me of "Take Me Down to the Paradise." That's what I think they're going to break into. Sorry, that's what I think every time.
Dan about to break in a song over here.
Yeah.
I
Talk
really
about the
don't
Astros.
understand my Houston Astros. Like, I don't understand how you beat up on a team that's like playing some of the best baseball right now, and then go and lose to the worst team.
Playing down to your competition.
Like,
I know because I'm a Mets fan. I know because I'm a Mets fan. We play down to our competition all the time.
That's not just an Astros trait.
Every year.
Houston sports teams trait. All three of them. All three. Texans, Rockets, Astros.
Well, when you're
Play
the worst,
down to their opponents.
when you're the Rockets and the
Hold on.
Astros, Texans, you're kind of just bad all the time.
Let's let me go ahead and put this up here.
Let me get my finger on the button.
Okay, first of all, fucker, run your fucking mouth over there.
Me?
Listen here. No. That little nutsack below me here.
You're usually just mad at me, so.
Okay,
I'll get to you.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
There you go.
We are not in your division. We're in the same league, but we're not in your division. We were at that point the worst team in the American League East, but we also kicked your ass 2 straight games.
I wasn't.
You guys
talking
really
about
lost to the
I
same
wasn't even
pitcher
talking
both
about
nights.
Boston. I was talking about us losing to the A's. But
That was funny as hell.
competition.
No, here's the thing. Though. To the A's credit, I posted this in our group chat earlier. The LA Angels hit 7 home runs in their game today against the A's and still lost, which I think is fucking hilarious. But
team record.
Houston picked up near the end of the deadline Trey Mancini, who I was hoping Boston would get, but I had a feeling they wouldn't because there was no way the Baltimore was
And
trading him.
Mancini hit a home run in his first at bat.
He did. Mancini hit a home run. No, it wasn't his first at bat. No, it was his first at bat. Yeah, because it was the second
because he
inning.
did it. He's the first player to do it with both his teams. First player. He did with the Orioles too.
Yep, he did. And then some decent moves there. They also Houston traded for Christian Vasquez.
They really.
He was warming up and getting ready to meet with Eovaldi for that first Houston game, and he found out that he had been traded during warmups.
Yep.
Vasquez
Jumbotron.
Real quick,
yeah.
I want to say real quick. Shout out to the Dodgers. They got the best record in baseball right now. Shout out to the Dodgers.
Fuck off.
The Dodgers.
Shut the fuck up, Will. We're talking about baseball.
They do though.
They just got it over, did they? They just took it over. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mention every time the Yankees had the best record because it was all year.
Yes, you did. You did.
I did not mention it all year.
Every time.
Yes, I did. But still.
Let's do your software and see how many times. Just like you said, LeBron, literally on every show you've been on.
I haven't said Yankees. I definitely haven't said Yankees, but I probably did say they had the best record. Go ahead, sorry.
But the Astros made some good pickups. Christian Vasquez.
I was ask you if you were to rate their trade deadline, what would you give them? I would say it was a hard B plus.
A-.
Solid B. Say this high B, low A. Yeah, I mean because obviously Maldonado is not bad on the field as a catcher, but he can't hit for shit.
No.
He has with the Mendoza line and starting with the Gallo line.
What's his batting average right now?
He has
like 210.
He does have moments where he gets hot, and random moments where he gets hot. But yes, he's not reliable behind the bat. One of the best gloves there is in Major League
That's
Baseball.
what I was going to say. That's why
Yeah.
he played. That's why he played is because he's a great defensive
I've
catcher.
said that before on this show. Like,
He's got a cannon.
he is one of those guys who is on the lineup because of his defensive play, not because of his bat.
Clearly.
I mean, he's also a little round in the belly.
The benefit behind them grabbing Vasquez is you get a 280 hitter, but you get who was one of the most underrated catchers in the league. I'm not saying he's as good of a catcher as Maldonado, but you're not taking a huge loss behind the plate to get his bat, and maybe pulling out Maldonado off the bench will help him get his bat back. And then maybe it can just become, hey, we're just going to switch you guys out depending on which pitchers you get along with.
Plus, this other guy who's still young in his career gets to learn from, like I said, one of the best catchers in the game right now.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, now I was a little disappointed by Boston picking up Reese McGuire from the Chicago White Sox, mostly because there's too many parking lots that he can get bored in. For those of you that don't know, Reese McGuire was the player that was caught in Florida jacking off in a parking lot.
Damn, you had to bring that up. Damn.
Well, it is what it is.
He's at home now, Seven. He's at home because that's where the number one in the nation for jerking off in parking lots happens is Boston, Massachusetts.
I thought it was a Walmart parking lot.
The nation leader.
It was a Walmart parking lot.
I thought it was a Walmart parking lot. I'm just saying.
Yeah, the nation's leader.
The nation's leader jacking off Walmart.
Don't get wicked far away. Yeah.
In Boston did grab Tommy Pham from the Reds, as well as Eric Hosmer from the Padres, and the Padres are still paying most of Hosmer's contract, which I think is fucking hilarious.
That's beautiful.
And the thing of it is with the Hosmer pickup, the young prospect that Boston has for first base, his last name is Cassis. I think his first name is Trenton, something like that. Hosmer, he went to Hosmer's high school alma mater. Hosmer's been mentoring this kid since he was young. And so Hosmer's purpose is to finish out his contract while somebody else pays him, and he gets this kid up to speed.
Seven, we actually said on a show on an After Dark that Hosmer is the perfect fit in Boston. And like we said it before there was any like trade thing. We were like, oh yeah, Hosmer's gonna get traded. And we're like, he should definitely just go to Boston. Because I didn't know that stuff, but like it's a perfect fit.
So
I've been saying for 6 months that Hosmer should be in Boston.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What's going to be the end result for Boston? You think 7 wild card?
They're losing to the Royals. Yeah. They're losing to the Royals right now, 7-3 in the top of the 9.
They're 53 and 53.
Are they seriously fucking losing right now?
Yeah. 7-3.
They started off well. Eovaldi is fucking. Wait, was it Eovaldi or Pivetta starting tonight? I can't remember. It's Thursday, right? Yeah.
Yep. 7-3.
Jesus Christ!
They need to gain some of that ground.
Pivetta, and Pivetta gave up 3 runs, but they brought in Darwinzon Hernandez. Why do you pitch her? Are you fucking kidding me? Anyway,
his name should be Darluznan.
Yeah.
That's funny. Go fuck yourself, but that's funny. But Boston's got to figure out their pitching. The moves that they made as far as the field moves were concerned in improving their bats, because your 2 biggest problems were Bobby Dahlbeck and Jackie Bradley Jr. You now have Eric Hosmer and Pham in the outfield replacing JBJ. JBJ got DFA'd today, by the way, for those of you that don't know. He himself was only hitting 210 this year. Had 58 strikeouts across 276 at bats. I tried to see if I could get Pete Rose to let me know what he thought of JBJ's number for this year, but he's still trying to figure out how the Dodgers picked up Joey Gallo in a fucking trade.
I'm trying to figure that out.
Fuck.
Is their batting average too high? Are they trying to pull their team average down so that the teams don't get as much? Like what?
How they got a guy that has one of the worst batting records in baseball on one of the best teams in baseball
for the number 5 prospect in their farm system, by the way. The Yankees
I
got the
don't
number 5
understand
prospect
it.
in their farm
He
system.
wasn't even,
This
he
is
wasn't even the
worse
first
than
best.
them
Listen.
trading us Jordan Alvarez.
He wasn't
Listen,
even the first. He wasn't even the best prospect. The 5th.
if Joey Gallo, okay, we're also acting like Joey Gallo hasn't been prevalent for so long. Joey Gallo 2 years ago was one of the best left-handed. I mean, yes, he's 3 outcome. Okay, so you're going to get 40 homers. He's going to hit 211, and he's going to strike out 160 times. Right? That's what's going to happen. Whatever. Like, but if you get the 40 homers, like if I struck out 160 times, I'd blow my fucking brains out. This people, but like. You're gonna get the 3 outcome guy, but like if you get the 40 home run 3 outcome guy, that's okay, especially for the Dodgers, dude. Like that's okay. Like
at least you know what you're getting. At least
he crumpled underneath the pressure in New York. He's from New York. That was his favorite team. He just wanted to do so good, and like I feel fucking terrible for the guy for real because he wanted to do so good and he didn't because some of those lights in Boston and New York and LA. Now in LA, they're just so stacked. He's not going to start or anything. Like he doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Like he already failed in New York. So like now it's like a kind of a reset.
He's going to be like a small fish in a big pond.
Yes. Well, he was in New York too, but
yeah. Right. And he's hitting this year. He is hitting 160.
Yeah.
But he only has 12 home runs.
He also wasn't playing for a lot of that time. So every time he got a hit, it was basically a home run. Almost every time, dude. Almost every time. Played solid right field in his defense.
I mean, defensively, he's a decent right fielder. So he's somebody that if you're trying to use him as a bat off the bench to get a swing back, kind of like I think the Yankees should do with Judge, you get.
He said,
Thanks for bringing that up. Finish your point, and I got something to fucking say to you about that. Finish your point.
Real quick, before you do that, real quick, let me go over some of these scores. Philly beat the Nationals 5-4. Astros beat the Guardians 6-0. Rays beat the Tigers 6-2. Mets beat the Braves 6-4. And it looks to be the Rangers beat the White Sox 3-2.
Yep.
We can't beat the Red Sox or the A's, but we can beat the Guardians 6-0.
I can't.
I'm okay with you guys
hold up.
Everyone beat the Guardians.
Cards beat
That's
the Cubs.
what I'm saying.
Cards beat the Cubs 7-2. Dodgers continue their winning ways 5-3 over the Giants. Athletics beat the Angels 8-7, and the Rockies beat the Padres 7-3.
Gabe Kepler got thrown out of the Dodgers Giants game today as well. Because one of their players got warned for taunting, and Gabe Kepler just went off and ended up getting ejected.
Nice,
because the player was taunting. Like it was clear he was that's what he was doing. Like if you go out and watch it, it's what
there was a makeup game also played between the Cubs and the Cardinals, and the Cardinals won that 43, and the Pirates beat the Brewers 5-4.
I will not let 7 go on this fact. This was on one of our shows, guys. We can go back and look at the tape.
Pull the tape.
On one of our shows.
Pull the tape, cuz.
Will and Josie, you might remember this. You guys were both on the fucking screen, just like we are right now.
Pull the
and
tape,
seven literally said to me and to all of us that Aaron Judge should come off the bench for the New York Yankees. I'm not joking. He actually said something to
I would be much happier if that's all he was doing right now.
I lost my fucking mind, dude. Like I was like, are you fucking serious right now? I was like, he's one of the best players in baseball. He's like, well, he's all right. And I was like, he's all right? I was
I think this was last season when he wasn't doing as much.
Dude, he's always doing a lot.
In my defense, Bob Nightingale is a professional baseball writer. My takes are not nearly as consistently bad as that old bald fuck. I rest my case.
Right.
I think we call it.
That's fair. I'm just never gonna let him let go of that because like he was calling.
We'll
for
be
Judge's
85 in a nursing home, and he'll be like, "You said Judge should be hitting off the bench."
Oh, absolutely! It's gonna be my dying words.
Like,
tell 7
that's gonna be
a fucking
his
idiot.
That's gonna
Tell
be
7
his Jefferson
he's a
Adams
fucking idiot.
moment.
It looks like the Blue Jays are going to get the win against the Twins in the bottom of the ninth. Blue Jays beating the Twins 9-3.
Nobody
and
cares.
at the top of the ninth, Warriors still beating the Red Sox 7-3.
So the only team with a bigger
11 hits.
The only team with there's okay. So regardless of this is how good the AL East is, by the way. Regardless of the Yankees having the second best record in baseball. Sorry, Will, the fucking Dodgers. But they have the fourth biggest lead in their division.
They do.
Despite having the second best record, they have the fourth biggest. So they're actually like 11 games is the fourth largest deficit. So like that's actually not, you know what I'm saying? Like it's still a lot, but like what this is how many shitty teams there are. Like Seattle's back 11.5 from Houston.
I mean, if
you look right
whole,
now, San Diego
conference,
12 and a half behind.
Whole conference. There's no one within reach of the Astros or the Yankees. No one.
There really isn't. Yeah.
I mean, if you go back and look, I mean,
yeah, there's not. I mean, it's the AL Central's terrible.
Yeah.
The AL Central is the only division that could be considered actually competitive, but that's just because all of those teams sucks. But it's going to be the Twins.
Yep.
True. And they're
and the Twins will go and get bitch slapped and be home quick.
I hope Boston gets Twins in the first round. That's what I want right there. Boston versus the Twins. That's a great way to start it after getting through the wild.
Is that all you expect from them? Is that all you expect from them, Seven?
One and done? Absolutely. Twins will be one and done. They're not even close to the same caliber as a lot of the other teams in the
Carlos Correa. Right. And it only because division. Hang on. It's not the only reason. It's only because that division sucks. Are they even doing this good?
Here's the thing about the Twins. The Twins actually very quietly this year built a decent roster. And what I mean by that is when you look at starters for them, you've got Gary Sanchez behind the plate, and he's actually had a decent resurgence this year, even though he is only hitting 210, 211. He has, he does have 10 home runs. He is getting walks.
He also hits ninth in their lineup.
He is their ninth hitter.
Luis Arise is a really good player, all-star.
Jorge Polanco at second.
Byron Buxton is a fucking all-star, probably top, 3 center fielder in Major League Baseball right now?
Top 3,
It's also a very young team, too.
You got Urshela at third, Correa at shortstop, Max Kepler in right. He's injured right now, but, I mean, he's there. And then for your starting pitchers, Sonny Gray and Tyler Mahle, you got Jorge Lopez for your closer. Like the Twins quietly have a very decent roster.
Seven, they have a win. Go ahead.
The problem is they don't have a roster that's decent enough and experienced enough to keep them relevant in the playoffs.
They have a win the AL Central roster.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's like
it's also only because the AL Central sucks.
That's what I'm saying. They have a win the AL Central roster. Like that's what it is.
But if the AL Central, if there was a better team in that roster, they wouldn't be winning that.
Josie, that hints the point why I'm saying they haven't win the AL Central rosters because the AL Central all sucks. So they can win the AL Central because their roster's not that good, but it's good enough to win the AL Central.
The good news is the way that things are going in the AL Central, this is going to definitely be the reason why Tony La Russa gets fired in the offseason. Because Chicago White Sox have a better roster than the Minnesota Twins. The problem is Tony La Russa is a dog shit coach, and so they're not getting the results that they should.
He is really terrible. There's not a whole lot of things that I hate more than old school guys who try and keep it old school when it's not like it's no longer working.
That's 70% of wrestling.
La Russa is like the definition of a guy who does that. Like who
that's
tries to
Jim
be like
Cornette.
Well, in 74 we played it this way, and I'm like, it doesn't work like that anymore. Like, evolve, bro. Like evolve. You have to. Right. It's a different sport now.
And everything that is wrong with pro wrestling today. Everything.
And old guys who think it's going to be the same way.
Yeah.
That's why Vince had to go.
Mm-hmm.
And because he was raping women, but yeah.
Well, because he was raping.
He's a rapist.
Rapist.
Like
Ben Roethlisberger. And Deshaun Watson.
Always remember, Ben Roethlisberger is a rapist.
Ben Roethlisberger did. He forced himself on women. Let's always.
But there is, the other major piece that came out of the trade deadline was Juan Soto is now a San Diego Padre.
Oof.
And the Padres also made a trade for Josh Hader. What is his last name?
Yes, Hader. Yes,
Hader. Yeah, Josh
Hader.
Hader. Yep.
All right, guys.
For Josh
Hader.
But I've been up way too long, and I worked a 10-hour shift today.
He's been up for 18 hours, guys. 18 hours. We got to get him out of here. I'm just kidding, bud.
All right.
See you,
Have a good night, Josie.
Have a good night.
Laters.
And this is really my last thing. So with the Padres grabbing Hader and Soto, the Padres are trying to give the Dodgers a run for their money because they don't even know that the Giants exist anymore. That's how bad the Giants season has been. And so this play with grabbing Soto and grabbing Hader, they are trying to be the sleeper team for the playoffs this year. They're not I wouldn't put my money on to win the World Series, but I could definitely see them getting to the I could see them fucking around and getting to the NLCS.
So that roster is pretty solid. I would say that roster is probably what, top 7 or
top
8
5
in baseball at this point, with the additions of Soto and Hader. You have to say it's probably top 7 or 8, right? I mean, because I like to add it because obviously we got to look at a lot of teams but obviously Soto. I mean, their lineup doesn't look that like crazy great, right? I mean, they got beat today by the Rockies.
It's not.
Like Will said.
Their roster is not going to be a high scoring roster. This is efficiency. Is what it is, because you're going to get out of most of these guys north of 250 hitting on when everything's said and done.
Right.
You just want consistency and being able to move the bases. That's all you want.
Exactly.
Walks,
it's baseball. You don't go to this expecting to win every game. There's never a team that started the season going, we're going to get 162 this year.
Right.
Nobody's that stupid.
Nope.
But you can think about, okay, I need to win 40 out of this last leg.
Right.
What's the most efficient way I can do it? Because the other thing is they're in that California economy. That money that they're going to spend on Soto, they're going to get back.
Yes.
So I think, especially because a lot of the Padre ownership group and fan base is Silicon Valley bros,
and they're flaky
and
super flaky.
Yeah,
but the money is there.
Oh, absolutely. People are going to go to those games.
Absolutely.
People are going to they're going to go to SeaWorld in San Diego, and they're going to go to a fucking Padres game because Petco's actually awesome. I've heard a lot of people talk shit on Petco.
I've heard a lot of guys. Awesome. Yeah, I've
never been there, but it's awesome. Petco. I mean, I've seen it. It's fucking amazing.
They got to go to Walmart first to get their sunscreen, then they're going to see it.
They do have to go to Walmart. I didn't know there was. Walmart. Are there Walmarts on the West Coast? I didn't know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. There's lots of them.
Walmart.
They're everywhere, guys. That's it. Yes. Probably in Siberia.
But the
Walmart in Russia. Ooh, too soon.
Walmart?
Walmart.
Walmart.
Too soon. I'm sorry.
In Russian Walmart, we don't drop the prices. The prices drop you.
They have goat samples. It just smells like soup and sadness there.
That's what all of Russia smells like.
That's what I'm saying.
But no, there is
the
Padres very quietly pushed themselves into being a contender. I think they'll be out in the division round, but they could fuck around and make it to the NLCS.
Yep,
I think so too. Just because of I mean, Joe Musgrove got beat up tonight. Dude's thrown a no hitter. Dude's thrown a no hitter this year, and just got fucked up. Tonight.
I mean, it happens.
It does. I get it. You know, it reminds me of Tony. Almost like a simulation. Like if you were going to simulate on like a Major League Baseball video game. Like that's how mathematical baseball is. Like it's almost like a simulation. Like how much can you simulate and still win the games? Like if you can go 60-40, you win your division almost, right? I mean, so if you can lose 40% of your games, and if you're going to simulate them, is my roster better to simulate against the competition? And like, that's how fucking mathematical baseball is. Cause it really is like every game is so much different. Like there's how many outcomes is there to every play? It's like something like it's like 36,000 or something like that. To every single
like
play
that, yeah.
or every pitch, there's a like 36,000 outcomes or something like that. So like every game is so creative. Like that's why the sabermetrics was such a big deal, because they were able to break it down mathematically. And it's just so mathematical. I'm like, yeah, if you could simulate the games, and with that San Diego roster, you could simulate a lot of games and win, 65% of them. And that's basically what they're trying to do. So,
and that's what they want. Yeah, it's efficiency. They're not expecting to blow everybody away, but they also know, like I said, that the money's there. They very quietly across the league have one of the better attendance rates. They average somewhere in like 35 to 38,000 a night.
Really?
At Petco. Yeah, like very consistently. And so but you can still charge $20-$25 for a beer after charging $300 a ticket. And in that Silicon Valley, California economy, you're going to get it every time.
Bro,
So the money's there.
Think about that lineup too. When Fernando Tatis Jr. comes back, I mean, you put him at shortstop. Go ahead, Will. Sorry.
And how many times have we seen teams in sports win with just consistency? I mean, go back, look at the Spurs.
Right.
Consistency.
And doing it the right way, as far as like not trying to buy, not trying to buy stars, like not trying to like buying stars has only really worked for the Yankees, and that didn't really work like for that long.
It doesn't and that's the thing is,
and it didn't always work.
Right.
It doesn't always work. You have better luck just methodically building up your roster and talent, and hoping the magic takes hold at exactly the right time so that you can maximize it.
Yep.
It is because on paper the Nets should have won the league this year for the NBA.
Right.
If you look at that roster, the Nets should have been, the Nets should have won the NBA Finals.
Got swept.
They got swept in the first round by a team who would lose in the finals.
Right.
There's so many shoulda, coulda, wouldas when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah.
That it's lightning in a bottle. It's what it always is with any championship team in any sport. It's lightning in a bottle.
The 16 Kansas City Royals.
Ooh.
For example. 15 Kansas City Royals, are the best example. Because they just built that shit up all the way until they all those guys on that team were all theirs. And they didn't trade for him or anything.
The Padres, I mean, they traded for a couple of pieces, like Cueto. They grabbed Cueto. Hosmer was a pickup before the season that year.
The base of it.
The base of that season was developed in their own farm system.
Right.
And so the method that the Padres are taking can work if everybody executes. And so that's where the consistency comes in and the efficiency comes in. If everything works how it's supposed to, this is a great sabermetrics team.
All right, guys, let's go ahead. It is going on 11:30 Eastern. Let's go ahead and cut things here.
Yep.
Great show, everybody.
Yay! Hey, Brandon Drury. That sounds like a smattered applause from like 5 people. Like 5 guys are like trying to make as much noise as they possibly
All 5 of our fans.
5 guys are in the nightclub.
That's what it would actually sound if everybody watching the show were to clap and yell at the same time.
All right, great special, guys. Don't forget, everybody out there, you can definitely catch us again Monday night, 10 p.m. Eastern with our normal show here on Pinfall Stream. So don't forget that. Next year we got coming up on Pinfall Stream as far as sports goes. Winter meetings every Sunday at 9 p.m. with my man 7 and his crew. Sometimes Dan makes an appearance, so definitely check those guys out. 9 p.m. Eastern right on Pinfall Streams. Anything else you guys got?
After Dark might be moving to Thursdays soon. We're going to be talking about that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll work that out and have that for you guys. Nobody watches After Dark live anyway because it's after dark. You know what I'm saying? Like they're mostly sleeping. Very responsible people.
But it's the Howard Stern of sports, though. I mean,
it is. It really is.
Thank you. That's what we thought.
That's I think that's the best compliment we've ever gotten.
That is the greatest thing anybody's ever said about it.
That's like the Howard Stern because you can just go willy nilly, man.
Just whatever you want.
Yeah,
it's just madness.
Yeah,
it's mostly just. Jordan's one of my influences, so that's a huge compliment. I know Dan's too. Yeah, so
cool.
Thank you.
All right, guys. We're going to see you again next week right here on Pitfall Streams, Monday, 10 p.m. Eastern. Everyone have a great week and take care.